Hi everyone. I'm going to make a short video for a friend of mine, which was part of a home group discussion that I prepared a while back, looking at predestination versus free will, as well as it speaks to the Trinity as well, from a view of multiple dimensions of time. This video might not be for everybody, um, but it does help me make some sense of some of the stuff in the Bible. Um, to talk about predestination versus free will, if you're not aware, it's quite a contentious topic in Christian circles. The Bible, Romans 8, 28, 29 and 30, talks about us being predestined. It also mentions it in Ephesians 1, verses 4 and 5. He predestined us into adoption of sonship. Those predestined verses are quite strong, but the Bible is all about free will. God gives us free will to choose Him, and although there's no specific verse that I could find on free will, it's quite clear that God gives us free will to choose or not to choose Him. So how can both be the case? How can there be free will and God being predestined us? It's just impossible in our universe that we live in. Secondly, the Bible, and this is the only religious document on our planet that I believe that talks about people popping in and out of space. I don't think there is another one that does it. If you don't believe me, you can look at Acts 8, 39 and 40, where Philip is just taken away. And Jesus, when Jesus appears to his disciples in the upper room, that's Luke 24, 36 to 49, Jesus just appears to them, and he says he's not a ghost. He even ate some fish, so he was a solid being. But how did he get there? Yeah, it's like if you're my age, when you were a youngster, there was a game called Asteroids, and if you could hit the hyperspace button, you could disappear and pop somewhere else. How is that possible in a three-dimensional world? So I believe that there are more than three dimensions of space and one dimension of time. We're just stuck in those dimensions. For recently, scientists, when they are looking at very small particles, are coming up with similar hypotheses. Michio Kaku and others. I'm not an expert in this field, but if you just go Google multiple dimension of space, you will find a whole plethora of information. Things like, at that tiny level, the rules of the universe don't apply. And I heard somewhere that they were seeing information traveling at faster than the speed of light. Now, how is that possible? Anyway, these guys are saying that there's potentially 12 dimensions of space. Now, why not just an extra one? I'm not sure. But how do we visually compute that? So what I've done is I've done a little model here, which I'd like to show you. And what I've done is instead of going up a dimension, which is impossible for us, of course, I'm saying let's go down a dimension. We live in a three-dimensional world. Let's show you a two-dimensional world, and think about how people perceive a two-dimensional world. So I'm just going to flip my video around now. Okay, so this is a two-dimensional world. There are three beings here. There's this Mr. Circle, Mr. Square, and Mr. Triangle. And they are living in a two-dimensional world. So they, in fact, when they look, all they see is they see a brown... Mr. Triangle sees Mr. Square, he's just a brown line. And Mr. Circle is also just a red line. Now, the only way that they can see them as being different is if they walk around them. When Mr. Circle turns around, Mr. Triangle will just see the red line, and it won't change in dimension much. But when he looks at Mr. Square, he will see that Mr. Square kind of gets longer as a line. If Mr. Square does a circle, then it gets smaller again and then longer. And obviously, if Mr. Square walks around Mr. Triangle, he will see a red line that also gets shorter and longer. Now, these guys live quite happily in this two-dimensional world. But if someone was to pick up Mr. Square and hold him slightly above, he would disappear. These guys wouldn't be able to see him because these guys are living on this brown two-dimensional world, and that line would have disappeared. Now, an interesting thing is if you put Mr. Square directly above Mr. Triangle, it could be very close to him, very, very close, and yet Mr. Triangle would be completely unaware of his presence. Mr. Square would see Mr. Triangle and Mr. Circle differently than he had seen them before, because they were lines. Now they have got shape, but he would be able to understand why he saw some of them. But it would be a new experience for him until he got used to this third dimension. Now, so there we have 3 dimensions of 2 dimensions of time, and a second dimension experiencing a third dimension for the first time. Now, in terms of the Trinity, this is a single item. We all agree in 3 dimensions this is one thing. But plonking it on a table, these guys here would say that's 3 persons. 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, because they're going to see 3 brown lines. They might be stuck in somewhere and they can't be further off, closer together, but they're still 3 items. And so in a 2-dimensional world, there will be 3 beings, but when you go into a 3rd dimension, there's suddenly only 1. Also, in terms of predestination versus free will, I believe that God exists in 3 dimensions of time. Now, that means he can't go to the future. He is in the future, and he always was in the future. It poses some interesting questions. Like when God pushed the button on humanity, he knew all about axe murderers and rapists and all that sort of stuff, and yet his desire for the free will choice of love for him was worth all of those things. Does it mean that God created hell or created the potential for hell? I would say yes, because he's creating a choice. Unless there is an option which is outside of his kingdom, then there's no free will. So there's a whole bunch of interesting things. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and I hope it goes in some way explaining how I seek answers scientifically for some of the difficulties in the Bible. Thanks very much.